come through at all. There are a number of people, even the lead figures in those films, that if you saw them next day on the street, you wouldn't know it's them.
The dialogue is stripped to a minimum. It's almost a silent film, which allows the camera to simply observe. The night sequences were shot with an infrared night sight.
I suppose you could say that the body of work since Scum is characterised not particularly by some of the diminishing words which people use about it in terms of austerity or bleakness. I think it was characterised by an extraordinary energy directed, if you like, to a social purpose realised within the electricity of the themes he chose to deal with on this occasion or on that occasion.
In Elephant, Alan took his own style and cut it to the bone. Set in Northern Ireland, it has no dialogue and shows 18 killings, one after the other.
We thought we might do something that just dealt purely with the killing behaviour, because over the last 20 years there's been 2,000 sectarian killings, and so we thought we would try to give some taste of what it maybe feels like or what it's like to observe that if you lived in Belfast, and throw that information visually back at the mainland. Also, we didn't want to take the violence over there and exploit it for dramatic purposes or for narrative purposes or for emotional purposes and put music under it and just be a couple of Englishmen visiting Ireland doing a kind of pseudo-important drama and getting out of there. We just felt rather in awe of the violence there, and we thought, well, maybe the best way we can reflect that is by recreating some of the more typical, rather horrendous domestic scenes, not to glory in the violence, but merely to show it.
It's a mime, in a sense. There is no, hardly 3 or 4 words are spoken during the whole of it, that's all. Alan Clarke was marvellous on marching. He has people stamping across the ground, stamping across deserted car parks, bits of road, inside warehouses, and it's a sequence of, I suppose, brilliantly choreographed killings of people, quite arbitrary, getting more and more brutal. You can see there is a little obvious moral that violence breeds violence, violence can only spark off more violence. But is it worth, I mean, that's just an obvious point. I don't think this is more than a statement of the obvious, which, with the unfortunate propensity, side propensity, of probably actually attracting and gratifying a few members of the audience.
What Alan Clarke was doing was sounding the bells, it seemed to me, very often in instances. And I think that's why Elephant was so disturbing. When people said, it's just unremitted killing. Well, you could actually say, yes, that's what's been going on in Ireland for a long time, unremitted killing, on all sides, on all fronts. And he took it to its logical conclusion and bleached every distraction out of the way to show you this appalling sequence of it. And made a statement that was so powerful that for many people it was too rich. They couldn't eat it at one sitting.
You look at the stuff, you're going to think, the guy was at home playing with razor blades, or I must go out and kind of do another angst play, or whatever. But there was a lot of humour, and that really wasn't kind of tapped into until Rita Sue,
Bob?
What?
Are we gonna... Well,
What's well,
What she means is, are we gonna have a jump?
Why?
Well, that's what we come up here for, innit?
Oh, it is, yeah.
I'm going first. Why can't I? Because you can't. I always have to go second.
What difference does it make? Who goes first? You both get the same thing.
That's not fair. I want to go first.
Why?
Because when I go second, it's not so good. You knack about second time. Why can't Sue go second for a change?
Will you go second, Sue?
If it'll stop her complaining, I suppose I'll have to. Well, why should you get the best all the time?
Come on, Rita. There's no need to get into an argument about it, is there?
I only want to go first for a change.
Well, first, there's nobody stopping you. the great coup of what he shot was that it was in no way erotic, no way salacious. You know, I mean, you would have had to have been barking mad to have got turned on by it, I think. But it was funny, and it was correct, and it was honest, and it was as it happened. And that was down to him, just on a straight line looking for the truth. Well, I didn't realise till ages ago that he'd done stage work, but in those rehearsals it was obvious that he had, because he knew how to build performances, he knew how to create performances, he knew how to talk to actors, he just knew it. I mean, in a much deeper way than most film directors do.
Rita, Sue and Bob 2 was by far the most successful of the 3 films Alan made for the cinema. This north of England comedy was particularly well received in America.
And where the fuck are the kids?
With your mother, where do you fucking...
What's going on here? I think that's Rita. What they're doing here?
What the fuck have you been up to?
Pinching husbands, that's what.
What have I told you, you dirty little bastard?
What have you been saying? I haven't said no.
That's what you get for mixing with sluts like her. You tell her! Go on, Sue!
Give him a shouting, you.
I want you.
In 1989, Alan made The Firm for BBC Television. Gary Oldman is a successful young estate agent who runs an organised group of football hooligans.
Coming onto the set of The Firm was quite an unnerving experience, actually, because as a producer, you're something of an outsider in one way, because you're not there the whole time. You're not totally immersed as all the actors and directors. And I remember coming on one day and thinking, there's something very uncomfortable in the air, something very dangerous, something rather alarming, and wondering, you know, what have we unleashed with this film?
Do you want your spanking now? You, Bobo. Tuesday. You, Blondie. Saturday. Look over your shoulders, girls.
A fight broke out during rehearsal, and then later on in the scene we're actually filming. One of the actors puts his fist through the ceiling of a corridor in this hotel, and that wasn't scripted. He just was out of control. The part had taken him over. But in fact, I don't think it was the case with Alan. I don't think in any part of Alan celebrated violence.
You don't talk like that to me, see? Because you ain't on the right. I'm going to give you a little lecture now, Dominic. Do you know what sociology is? Yeah, I do. I've got an A-level in it. Clever git, ain't I? Sociology is the study of social problems. Now, you got a big social problem, boss.
Come on, Nix, we're on your side.
Well, you got a funny way of showing it, haven't you? You see, Dom, Simon and Beef can run away. They live 10 miles out. You know, they can hide if they want to, but you... This is your manner. You've got to walk up and down the street every fucking night. And you're going to see me everywhere. And I don't like seeing people who let me down, because it gets me mad! So you're in. Both of you! Right up the pointed end. Must be a group pressure, that is. It's a real bastard. Good acting, sexy. Good filmmaking, sexy. Alan was a sexy man. Alan was a real sexy guy. And, I mean, he used to talk about lenses. Like, and say, I've got this idea for you and I'm gonna do this, and he said, it's dead. Fucking sexy, this, it's gonna, it's a sexy scene. A director sets up an atmosphere in which you can either work or you cannot work. They are the captain, they're the people in charge. You walk onto a director's set and you know instantly whether I can work, whether you could work in that atmosphere or whether it's going to be very difficult.
What Alan showed in The Firm was that it was often out of a seeming